Okay, so I was just sitting here and reading a book that is called Finger of Fate, and I was thinking about two types of like esoterics in general, and like if you are in one side of the esoteric world, then you can't be in another side. So there is type 1 esoterics and type 2 esoterics, and you can enter to type 2 through type 1, but you can't enter to type 1 through type 2 because you know that this is bullshit. Okay, so esoterics is like very interesting in general. What I mean by type 1 esoterics is that it's tarot readings, astrology, chakras, and all the shebang. Like, you know, everything that you know about esoterics isn't here. So it's like hypnosis, like popular books that, you know, are popular nowadays. Just like the whole thing. And a person who's like really interested in esoterics, like they have been through this phase of like being interested in all this stuff, like magic and like manifestation and like all the stuff, candles, crystals and stuff. And there's type 2 esoterics, which is like the philosophy of these authors, which completely like discredits type 1 esoteric. Like, it's really hard to explain for me, but you know, it's like when you read these books, you're like, all the other stuff that I was taught is like bullshit. Because it's very popular in modern esoterics to say our consciousness is the part of universal consciousness. And authors in this book, Finger of Fate, literally say that it's so not true. Like, it's just not true, because a human's consciousness is so low and base that it cannot qualitatively be a part of universal consciousness. Like, they don't match, you know. And also there's a popular saying that our subconsciousness has all the knowledge that universe's subconsciousness has. So, you know, there is like a higher self which knows everything, and deep within we know the answer to every question. And authors, Seklitova and Strelnikova, they say that this is completely wrong, because it's like saying that the subconsciousness of microbe on our body has all the knowledge that we have. And, you know, if they dig deeper to themselves, they, you know, can unlock all the knowledge that our brain has, just because it is part of us. It's something like that. It's not even a closely good analogy, because a human being and a universe is not a microbe and a human, because a microbe and a human are pretty close together, like scale wise, but the universe and the human are like very different scales, magnitude, sizes. So it's not even like a good analogy, but it's understandable for people. And I was thinking about like, wow, like a person can spend so much money on all this modern esoteric knowledge, and it will not be even like 1% of the books that authors provide. And a lot of them are already translated into English, into different languages. Like all the books are translated into French. Even the loss of the multidimensional spatial volume, which is like a big book, very complicated, but you know, even this complicated book is translated. So a person who really wants to know information, like it's really out there, it's really easy to find. And what I'm trying to say is that, you know, after this knowledge, every esoteric teaching is like nothing. It's like so far from the truth, because they say once you know this discipline of like psychology or astrology or numerology, like you will basically read people. A lot of people right now ask different esoteric coaches, what is my mission in life? And authors in these books say that, a person is not meant to know their mission right away. Mission is something that they need to search for. They need to find by their own journey. It's not something that can be revealed so easily. And of course, if you go to any esoteric guru out there, of course they will say, I know your mission in life, you pay me $500 and I will tell you your mission in life. They all say the same shit. But a mission is something that is not supposed to be revealed that easily. A mission is something that you have to feel within your intuition, within your gut. Mission is something that is revealed to you by the steps you take. Of course, there were times when I wanted just to have this consultation with this person, and I wanted to ask them, what is my mission in life? And it's okay, but there is no guarantee that they will tell you your right mission, because it is something that only higher beings know. They designed you with a certain goal in mind, and what is the probability of the fact that some random person will know your mission just because he has an open third eye? I don't know about that, but I'm still trying to be open to new teaching, to new books and stuff. But after this book series, I can't really comprehend. I can't really take other teachings seriously, because all of them just suck in comparison. Nothing can compare. And there are certain esoteric gurus that are trusted, literally I trusted them with my whole heart, and they ended up being the most lying charlatans, swindlers, because they're it's for the donation. We don't really grab money from the masses, but of course it all comes down to money, and of course they do it for the money. But the information they say about the aliens is so absurd and just not true that it blows my mind that people really do think that she's she's telling the truth. And I was the person who literally was hooked on everything she produces, but I'm just comparing their information, and if this is true, then this is not true, and this is not true, because this woman said that when she was 13, she was abducted by aliens, and they showed her their planets, and she has this microchip in her belly. She is in contact with them constantly, every day, and she wrote a book. There's a whole shebang. She's producing this trilogy of books about every planet in the galaxy union, something like that, and she describes every planet and every and she describes the alien life on them, and what's the credibility of this information? Only God knows. How can you trust this person? Because what she said about the levels of development is just absurd and just not true. That information was the most absurd information I've ever heard in my life. But in the beginning, when I didn't know anything, I thought it was true, because why not? She described it very precisely. There's hertz, the vibrations, and she described them it looked like it was true, because how can you describe something so neatly, how can you do, like, where do you get this information from? Yeah, people believe her. But, you know, she said that there are like 24 levels of development, which is absurd. This is just absurd, because she said that she's from the 21st level of development, and that 24th level is like God himself is like 24th level, and she is like 21st level, like absurd things like that. And like, how can you trust this woman anyway? Her name is Irina Podzorova. Like, she's pretty well known in Russian community. Just anyone who speaks Russian like can know her, because she's pretty famous. I'm not gonna lie, like, the good thing about her is that she, you know, talks about aliens, and it itself expands the consciousness of people. But other than that, everything else is just fully lies and lies and lies and lies. So people, please don't believe everything you see on the internet, because I did. And, you know, my first, I don't know, like, it was like a program. Like, it was like, I don't know if I was led by someone, but it was like learning of different concepts step by step. Because for example, first I learned about aliens, then I learned about channeling, and then I learned about life contracts, then I learned about like the whole shebang with karma, then I learned about this, and this. So it's like, this teaching was like on top of like my esoteric journey, if you know what I mean. Because esoteric journey is like, if you are on it, you know exactly what I mean. Because at first you're like, for example, you go with you are interested in tarot reading, and then you know about the life after death, and then you know about the circle of samsara, and then you know about the yoga thing, and then you know about the breathing thing, then meditation, then affirmation, then this and this, levitation, and all the shebang. Like, you know, like, people who are in esoterics, like, they know exactly what to talk about. Like, because esoterics is such an interesting thing, because every person is like, something just interests them, and then it's like never ending, you know. It's like you know about this concept, and then somehow life leads you to another concept, and you're like and somehow you're like, oh yeah, like, I want to know this and this and that, but like, then you know that this whole like disinformation, and this is not true, and then you're like, oh my god, like, you know, it's like, there is disappointment along the way, because you're like, oh my god, like, the information I just believed in, and that I thought I was high on, because I was so excited about like knowing this information, and it's completely not true. And you know, you get a little bit sad, because you understand that the information you previously learned is like completely not true. And that is like a thing about knowledge in general, is that if on one level it is true to you, then on another level it is not true anymore. And it's okay, you know? And, you know, I think this concept is described in the book, The Elusiveness of Truth. I don't know if it's translated yet, but I think that this book talks about it. I haven't read it yet, but I think it talks about this, like, what is true on one level is not true on another level, and it's something that I've read about. Like, you know, for example, for a person who like only starts their journey in esoterics, there's a very popular meaning, very popular notion of higher self, you know, and they're like, oh my god, I have to connect to my higher self and blah 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 and all this stuff. But for the person who like steps ahead, it's not a higher self, it's a determinant. And people who like only read these books know about this notion, you know, because anyone who didn't read the book does know what the determinant is. And the higher self is something that we mistake for determinant, because we think it's higher self, but it's not really a higher self. Because if higher self is something that really knows everything, or at least a lot, there's no meaning in like going through all of this if we already know everything. There's no meaning in that. So we don't have any higher selves. There's no part of us that is higher than this part. So it's like a big illusion, and these books talk about it. And I know that my audience is like mostly Russian speaking, but like I was just thinking about these topics in English, and I was like, why not record myself speaking in English? Maybe it's just like a practice for me, like I don't know. Under every video in my YouTube channel, you can find the link to this website where you can find the translated versions of these books. So don't tell me that it's like hard to find. It's not really hard to find. It's not really expensive. It's very cheap. So a person who wants to know information, he will know information. I'm just telling you that if you're interested, like just follow this rope. Like it's really easy. You know, I feel like following the rope is like one of the most exciting things, because like every book mentions another book in it, and you know, by going like that, I like reached to this book. You know, it's like following a book that is referenced on another book, and that is like very exciting and interesting, because like you're literally like, you know, some thread leads your way, and it's like it only opens up if you like go follow it. You know, if like I feel like you know what I mean. That's all I wanted to say. So bye.